Welcome to another episode of Daily Market Mastery with me, Christian Rauchenwald, this Friday afternoon or morning or evening, depending on where you are. As always, before we jump into the markets, let's get the usual disclaimer out of the way first. Everything that I share in this live stream / video is my personal opinion and in no way financial or professional advice of any kind. You should always do your own research, consult certified professionals, draw your own conclusions, and make your own decisions. Besides that, all the tools that I'm using during this live stream, so the charting software, the broker, the strategy I'm following, and so on, are all linked in the video description down below. And the one thing I recommend, if you haven't done so, is check out the Elliott Wave principle, which you can read online for free when you use the link that's in the description down below. With that said, we can jump into my portfolio at Interactive Brokers, and you can see that we're starting again break even into the day with a slight tint, in quotes, towards the green side. So right now we're still having a lot of changes in the stream. So as I mentioned during the previous streams this week, we're still working on the best way to keep track of different predictions that I'm sharing in the stream. I'm actually actively exploring different platforms like TradingView, StockTwits, and so on to see what's the best way to keep track of independent predictions in a way that also offers accountability. Until that happens, I also mistakenly or by accident this week deleted my all of my labelings. So when we deleted one of the charts, we actually deleted all of the labelings. So we'll have to make our way back or work our way back through it. As so often, there are just so many other things I have to do or that are on my to-do list that I just don't get to it. Where do we start today? Let's start from GameStop. It's our biggest position. We actually in GameStop hold 515 shares, and against those we every week write the $30 call option or $30 strike price call option as a covered call against 500 of those shares. Everything else that we hold in this portfolio plus another 100 GameStop shares are actually paid for with the premium we earned by writing cash secured puts initially that eventually got us those 500 shares. Hi, Ryan, great of you, or nice of you to join. We'll see. I'm not sure how many predictions we'll have today because we're still in a catch-up mode, after I deleted all the charts by accident. But so as far as GameStop goes, we can zoom in a little bit on the bigger picture. Well, the one thing to consider is that there is the possibility that the correction downwards hasn't finished yet, in which case, as you can see, the $15 mark would be an enticing target. It becomes less likely or unlikely once we break 25.24, but until that happens, still both scenarios on the table. We can see the overlap of the 100% target with the 78.6 retracement here. So however, if we're moving closer, we also can see that we have a clear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's put an extension here. Again, I mistakenly deleted everything, so it's like now a little bit harder. Actually scratch that. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here we have 1, 2, 3, which means we are currently looking at wave 4, here at wave 5, and with that we are basically, what we need is this here to get our next upside target. And we can see that our target here for this fifth wave move, if it is a fifth wave move, would be between 24.46 and 26.20. Now we're not going to write it down because again, right now still the other direction would also be on the table. Visually, I would say if that's the case, we would have the next 1, 2, 3. And if that's the case, we would be looking at this. And we can then see that we get an overlap here in this area. So I'd say potentially short term, we would reach maybe even 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So maybe even today, 24.46 to 24.85. And then we would get the next corrective pattern. Now that's just very rough estimate based on what's in front of us on the hourly chart. As I said, we'll have to work our way further down in the future. Let's actually stay on the hourly chart, which means then that we rolled our call options a little bit too early. We sold them for $32.20 per piece. So we got a little bit more than $150 for our call options for the week, which we used in this case to already buy a few NEO shares. It was a little bit of a early entry. We'll cover that in a second. But yeah, that's what we used them for, and also to buy a few more GameStop shares. So yeah, now let's make our way from the top. I think today we'll keep it short again, because again, I still have a few other things to do. And until we find the time to relabel most of the charts that are now unlabeled or not fully labeled, there is not going to be too much detail to share. From the top, Barnes & Noble Education now is getting the next push upwards. Question is, yeah, visually, I would say we are looking at wave 1, wave 2, and are now looking at wave 3 developing. Our price targets there are 1419 to 1977, so at least this year, and there are price targets even higher. Our position finally is at a small plus here. We can see our small 35 shares position is at $8 profit. That's because we originally had a small mistake and labeled it like this, ABC, and entered somewhere here at 10, a little bit above 10. And then, however, once this happened, we got it right and entered here, plus manually again here. And then I think we also bought manually a few more shares than here in this retracement. Visually, as said, I would expect that this will be, yeah, this move right now should already bring us actually higher than 1420. Yeah, but it would also play out as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get us up there. Yeah. So it will also take time, especially since we're looking at a daily chart. I mean, there's obviously possibility that we get some rushed move up, but I think again that this, or I really believe that this will take some time to play out here. Either way, entries right now are not too bad still, because again, we would have stop loss could be down here at 831. So risk reward ratio is still kind of okay. Obviously the entries down here during the last week when I mentioned it, that it's like not that bad to enter here again, were even better. But yeah, even right now, there's still upside in my opinion. Now moving on, yeah, that we don't need. GameStop we already covered. Grab is going to report their earnings on the 11th, which is on Monday, after the market closes. I guess there we will get our confirmation. So we're right now considering, we're on a weekly chart, we're right now considering if this here is basically wave A, B, and then wave C, where we already would have our minimum target hit, in which case we would potentially start a downwards movement, and our position there, we only hold one long-term call, so a leaps call that expires in January 26. Our position here would become a bad investment, but we only have like $50 risk, so it's like not the end of the world if that turns sour. On the other hand, it could also be that this plays out as wave 1, wave 2, and then wave 3 should take us up here, where we have pretty much a little bit more than 100% upside. But again, we're talking about a longer period here, because we see that our wave 2 potentially took pretty much more than 1.5 years to play out in the sideways movement here. So we'll have to wait and see, but overall I'm bullish on Grab as well. Immersion, yeah, we're unchanged. We're waiting to see if either we get our move up here, and we indeed finished our retracement here at the 61.8 retracement. Yeah, so for Grab, by the way, circling back because I didn't mention it, our prediction is unchanged, 942 to 1088, which is basically based on this being a 1, 2, 3 move. That's a long-term prediction, because short-term, again, we're looking at a weekly chart. Short-term, this could be wave 1, we're getting wave 2 down, then we get wave 3, and so on, yeah. So short-term, there is a little bit of downside, let's say 25% roughly. Unless I'm wrong, then there's more downside, but if I'm right, there would still be short-term maybe 25% downside, but long-term, there should be more than 100%. And even if it takes till 26, we're talking about less than 1.5 years to make a 100% return. So yeah, if you hold shares with call options, it could be it could pay off potentially even better. Yeah, moving on to Immersion. Immersion, our prediction is 27 to 32.82, and that is based on the labeling that we see here on the chart, assuming this is wave 1, 2. And here we have our next wave 1 and 2 down. However, we are waiting to see if this is indeed the end of the corrective pattern. There are a few things. So we got Immersion also initially wrong. Corrections labeling is the hardest part. But yeah, we got Immersion initially wrong and assumed that the bottom would be here, that the correction is like A, B, C. Turns out that it wasn't. So this is the next area that we're waiting for to see play out. Yeah, so we'll have to wait to have confirmation. Our exposure, or my exposure in Immersion, is not that high. We're around $500 invested. Even though, so even if it drops a little, I would look at maybe a 20% loss, where I then cut the loss. But other than that, I think that this is visually the area where we should get the next move up. Moving on. Sorry, guys. Moving on to cost. In cost, we have a similar situation. Our prediction for cost is actually not existent, so we don't have a prediction right now in cost, because we have the option that we actually finish the correction here, in which case we should eventually break the high that we had here at 879. As long as that doesn't happen, we still have the card or the option on the table that we get another push down to the 61.8 retracement. So we'll have to wait to see how this plays out. Do we break the low that we had here at 652, or do we break the high that we had here at 879? Depending on which happens, we'll know where we can consider or aim for, or maybe increase our position, or where we should expect a turnaround and where we should expect to get out of our position. Moving on, NEO, we don't have a prediction on the chart because we were quite accurate with our recent predictions. So labeling this as 1, 2, 3, and now 4. We got out here. I'm repeating it every stream, but we got out here, so we called that one quite nicely. Question is, visually, we haven't reached the minimum target here. I actually yesterday bought a few shares, as you can see. As I mentioned in previous streams, even right now, it might not be the worst time to enter small already, because there was the option that our correction is done here somewhere. Well, now we have the updated labeling that points towards us getting down at least to 468. Potentially even to 394. So there is a little bit of risk. So buying huge positions, in my opinion, doesn't make sense. But I think it's not the worst entry to slowly enter again, because we should still get 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And which means that basically, depending on how far our wave 4 takes us, so if we go down here, we can see our targets for wave 5 are, even from right now, at least 50% upside. To up to almost 100% upside. If we go down here, well, then the upside is not that big, but even then the entries here should still offer us a profit in the end. Obviously, it would mean waiting potentially a couple of months for that to happen. So if we look at how long previous waves took to develop, but yeah, so I will potentially enter more depending on how many available funds we have as we reach or go lower. So between 468 and 432. Below 432, I would not enter anymore. So I'm not going to try to aim for this, because if we reach this point here, well, it's the 100% target for ABC free wave move. We're also very, very close already to invalidating our entire analysis. So as said, if you don't want to enter right now already, I think entries between 468 and 432 are going to be quite good in terms of being towards the end of the correction, followed by then the upwards movement. I just had a couple of extra dollars available in the portfolio yesterday, and that's why I decided to already get around $25 of shares, so it's not that much. Moving on, Novavax. So we're still waiting for a push down here. We're basically waiting for this to play out as for this fifth wave to finish for 1, 2, 3, 4, and wave 5. We hope that it happens soonishly, because the call options that I have expire here on the 16th of January. And we need this push down to finish to start the upwards movement. Unfortunately, I got this one wrong, partially wrong as well, because it looked like this is our finished ABC move, and that's where we got the call options here, and did not set a trailing stop or a proper stop loss. And so therefore this here brought killed the call options for now. They're still not fully dead, but we would need a strong fifth wave coming here to save them, or at least to be able to close them for less than a 100% loss. However, the total money invested here is also not that much. We're looking at $250 risk, so it's also not the end of the world. Moving on further, let's take a look at some of our things of our monitoring list that's covered by the camera right now. That's actually interesting. Here we have a low at 1175, and here we have 1198. So for the DJT, the Trump media stock, obviously the election was helped wonders. Oh, we're very zoomed in here, so we can obviously look closer. What on the monthly chart appears to be 1, 2, 3, and then correction is invalid because here we get lower than we are here. Yeah. So we'll have to, let's see if the weekly chart offers us a little bit more. We might actually look at an invalid pattern here right now because we visually this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it probably also follows the rules. However, this push down here invalidates that. So no more predictions right now for for Trump media. One would assume that since he won the US election, that the stock will increase. It's a prime method basically for everybody on this planet to bribe Donald Trump, because if you pump money into his company, you drive up the share price and he could then cash in on his shares. But at the end of the day, it's a crappy business that's hugely overvalued. So yeah, like visually, the problem here is like if we consider this a corrective pattern, it does not have the feel of a corrective pattern. And again, then on the other side, it also is invalid again because this here is already higher than this here. Which might mean this might be a fluke, but that was September 25. No, the weekly chart also doesn't help us, so we can only look at this here. Okay, maybe we still have a valid pattern, but just not based on the previous history. Yeah, not really. So election. Yeah, 3-day chart, so I need a daily chart. Yeah, so we have the election day or night somewhere, November 4th, come on, or 5th. No, yeah, 5th was election this year. Where we had this move here, followed by that. Oh no, we might actually have a valid pattern. So in DJT, we would say, okay, that we currently finished potentially 5 waves up and are right now retracing downwards. So we are currently correcting, and the correction should play out like this. We already reached the 100% target, which is at the 50% retracement, which means from here on out, I would actually expect upwards movement. Yeah? Assuming we would need to look closer. I don't hold any horses in that race, so there's not much point to do that. But visually, that might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in some way, A, B, C. And here we have the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, we are in an area where a turnaround would be suitable. So 50% retracement combined with the 100% expansion. And additionally, we are in the area of what potentially is wave 4 of the previous impulse wave. So this move down here. So we have 3 different indicators that tell us. I'm actually going to add it to the list. DJT, price 36.54, or actually I shouldn't add it to the list because RAI should do that, but we don't have a profit target, so that is kind of like the bummer here. Yeah, let's get a profit target, and let's get a conservative one because a lot of things can happen. Let's get conservative profit targets. RAI, you can update that then. 68.25 to 125.18. So that's like 100 to 500% return. Options are probably overpriced for DJT. Yeah, so we say January options, or actually let's use one of our tools to trading option strat. So again, all tools are linked in the video description down below. DJT, and then we say, what did we say? We said, let's say 68.25, 68.25, and then we say by January and maximum return. And if we take the higher price target of 125.18, that is actually not too bad. So $64 risks, and if we are right, open that in the builder. I mean, it would have to happen till January. Let's try to get a guesstimate here. September, October, November. So that's 2 months. Okay, January is cutting it short. Here we have October. No, September, 25th of September till, so 1 month. And then here we have potentially around 1 month for the correction. So we have to consider around 3 months. So November, December, end of January might work. So we would actually rather go to March. Then we go back here, here. So rather go to March, and there we would have $100 risk. So buy the 80 call, sell the 105 call. We'll actually make that. So DJT for March, and we buy the 80 call and sell the 105 call. So let's analyze that real quick. So if we go with that, then based on the current volatility, although that one will, the volatility will correct and will fall, yeah. So obviously if it stays high, we can see that, yeah. So right now we have what? We have 140% implied volatility. It's, you see, that's like insane. And as for the move, so okay, there, if we hit our minimum target, we would still be slightly as a loss. So let's pick something in the middle. Let's see if we can make that work. So let's say around $90. Okay. Let's say $90 profit target. Then, yeah, I don't want to risk $200 on that stock, to be honest. Like, no matter how tempting it looks, yeah. But I'm gonna make my prediction. So I think that based on this, our correction is finished here, and we're now getting to see the next 5 waves up that should take us here, hugely overvaluing the entire company. And that would be the defensive calculation, assuming this turns into an A, B, C 3-wave move before we go further down. So yeah, moving on, Intel now going further up. We already hit our original profit targets. Now we're actually assuming that this is either A, B, C. So where it's going to be hard to label this, I mean, it's possible. So if we zoom in, we don't have a prediction right now for Intel because we just hit 2 of our predictions with that candle, first the low and then the high. And here visually, we're looking at the next 1, 2, 3, yeah, so 4. So we're probably looking at this here, this scenario that Intel will basically increase around almost 100% in value. But we are not going to write this down because we still have to wait a little bit more to get confirmation, because our previous wave 5 prediction or our previous wave prediction just happened so fast that we'll have to give it a little bit more time to kind of like have a clearer picture. In NVIDIA, there we still have our prediction of 150 to 160, which is actually nice. We made the prediction at 135, so here, and pointed out that the profit targets are 150.79 to 162.70. Now we already hit the 150, so we are 79 cents off from our first target, or we're 79 cents off from our first target, and I think again 162 would be the second target. So we'll see if that turns out like this as well. And yeah, moving on, what else do we have? We have SMCI, not sure if we want to check there, but basically, as we pointed out, or as I pointed out, that we still expect downwards movement to finish a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then wave 5. Although looking at this, it's possible that this is actually the wave 3, 4, yeah, so it might have been too fast to call this wave 3, 4. We can see that we have profit targets further down. Our profit targets for SMCI stay unchanged, 1838 to 568. So while we first will or should reach the 1838, then we should get a corrective wave up, and then we go to all the way down. Yeah, moving on, we already covered most of the other stuff, so let's move on to SPY, where we right now don't have a prediction, but because we deleted everything from the chart, and this here is lower, so it's also going to be tricky. Visually, this here is wave 1, 2, 3, 4, no matter 4, and we're right now in wave 5. So we see we bounce here at the 6618, which means that we can predict our target area for wave 5 by doing this. The auto labeling here is useless. So 2 would be here. So we see even for our minimum target for wave 5, we still are a few dollars short. Our SPY prediction is currently empty. We don't have one on the chart, and we'll leave it like that until this pattern here finished. But right now, so you don't have to write it down, right? But right now, the area would be here that I would expect this move here to finish before we get the next correction. Also, I don't forget to order the chart then alphabetically, or the symbols alphabetically again from A to C or Z when we add something new. Yeah, and then that brings us to the NASDAQ, NDX. There we go. We also don't have any labeling on that right now. We're looking at a monthly chart, which is, yeah, not what we want. Let's weekly. Do we have NDX? No prediction on the chart. Visually we can see 1, 2, 3, 4. So, and can see wave 3 bounces at the 438.2. It's tempting to assume that this is our third wave because we bounce at the 261.8, but this is likely just the third wave of the subwave here. Although here we don't hit our usual level, it makes this a little bit tricky to label, but visually I would suggest this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for one wave, making this 1, 2, 3, 4, which means our target areas here would point towards a lot of additional upside, as we can see right now. Our short-term labeling was wrong because we assumed that the correction here would be bigger, but now based on being proven wrong once, we are now assuming, or we now have to assume, that what we're looking at is here is the next wave 1, 2. And if that's the next wave 1, 2, then we would expect the third wave that takes us up here to 24,000 over the next couple of months. We'll see if we're right. Yeah, I don't hold any horse in that race either, so we'll just have to wait and see. And I think that's pretty much it for today. I'm still, as said, I'm going to switch here, so just to chat view. I still, as said, am considering how to adjust the structure of the stream a little bit. Maybe we are going to include a segment where we look at stocks that have their earnings today after market close or tomorrow before market open, because they're usually, if a stock should then have a strong movement, it usually should already be an indication on the chart. Yeah, like I think that makes sense. We might also look into stocks that are, I don't know, like heavily shorted or so, to see if there's a pattern that suggests, so with high short interest, to see if there's a pattern that suggests that they might squeeze or not. We might also keep track of the usual FANG stocks, plus maybe NVIDIA, Intel, and some other things, yeah. Yeah, if you have any ideas or preferences, what you would like to see during the stream, other than me rushing through my own positions and stocks that I just happen to have on my watch list, feel free to share it, jump on our Discord community and discuss it with me there. Yeah, the stream is still work in progress to basically share information with you guys, but also create additional accountability for me, because I actually have to share my opinion and I have to be confident enough to share it, and my positions. I mean, I don't have to, but I choose to. And yeah, therefore, I'm open for ideas how it can be better in a way that it provides more information to you, but also in a way that it helps me maybe enter more trades or positions to actually move along further. Our overall return, since I moved to Interactive Broker in the middle of May this year, isn't that bad. We are around 30% or 40% actually return for those couple of months. Overall, considering that the portfolio now holds almost $13,000 plus 2,000 or plus 100 GameStop shares, that's another $2,500. So, and in May we started with around $10,000, I think 10,500. Sorry, not dollars, but everything in euro. My mistake. Just the GameStop positions are in dollars. But yeah, so I hope you were able to take something away from today's stream. Don't forget, like if you want to help me out, hit the like, thumbs up button, subscribe, enable notifications so you don't miss out on future videos. And with that, I'm going to wish you all a pleasant weekend, and we're going to see each other then on Monday. I'm going to check. I think there is a holiday in November. So not this Monday, but just checking NASDAQ holidays. November 28th and 29th are holidays. Okay, so Monday we'll see each other on November 11th. So again, thanks for stopping by. Have a great rest of the day and a great weekend, and then see you all on Monday. Till then, bye-bye.